On the spot tonight, it's HCL Tech's Vineet Nayar turning traditional corporate thinking on its head, putting employees first and customers second. Vineet Nayar, thanks for joining us. Why employees first and why customers second? That sounds a bit controversial. I'm a customer. I'd want to be first.
I think the critical point of inflection comes in most companies' lives when they ask 3 or 4 fundamental questions. The first fundamental question is, what is the business they are in? And the answer to that is to create value for the customers. The questions 2 is that where is the value for the customers being created? And the answer to that question is in the interface of the employees, your employees, and the customers. So that's the value zone. And if that's the value zone, then the third question is that what is the core business of the company, which is to maximize the value in the value zone. And fourth, how do you do it? By enthusing, encouraging, empowering the employees in the value zone to create the value which you want to create. And therefore, the obvious answer to the question of how do you maximize the value in the value zone and grow and make profits is by treating your employees who are in the value zone first, and in that, and customers second, because that's the only way customers will come first.
I can see you take your philosophy rather seriously. Mr. Nayar, you took charge of HCL when it was slipping. I believe Shivnadar literally forced it down you. What have you done differently?
I think the story of HCL was that, as is true with a lot of companies today, that when you are standing on a ledge of a building, the building may be on fire, but you don't notice it. And a lot of companies slip down on their growth trajectories because their business models may become obsolete or the customers may move on and they don't notice it. And I think, part of that is what happened in HCL during that period. When we arrived in 2005, we discovered that our business model and our approach to market is no more relevant. And HCL is used to being number one in whatever we do, and we were not number one by a mile.
Hey, Vineet, sorry to interrupt you, but why all this distrust in corporate India?
I think it's right. Let's go and ask ourselves, why is that happening? I'm sorry, I'm getting an echo. So that's a very interesting question. Let's go and ask ourselves as to why is that happening. I think there are 2 prime reasons this is happening. Number one, we at management layer or managers certainly believe that we have the right answers and the employees don't. We believe we are in the business of answering questions rather than asking questions. And therefore, we do not create an environment which is transparent. We do not explain our decisions because we believe we don't need to explain, and we are not transparent and we don't carry our people along with us, and that creates an environment of lack of transparency, hence creating lack of trust, because uncertainty creates doubt.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you again, Vineet. I'm a very rude boy. I guess Shivnadar took a risk when he got you to take charge of HCL. I wondered, when it comes to you taking a risk, employing folks at HCL who could perhaps one day take your job.
I think I've already given up control. See, unlike you maybe, I'm not the smartest of all. And I realize my strengths and I definitely realize my weaknesses. When you're running an organization which is 60,000 people, $2.5 billion spread across 26 countries, with 500 customers in various types of services, you cannot have the answers to everything. And it's unnecessarily putting pressure on you. So you have to adopt what I call a servant leader model, where you create what I call a star organization, which is a starfish organization, rather than a spider organization. A starfish organization is that if one head cuts out, the organization still goes on. In the end, the ultimate objective of any CEO should be not to protect his job, but to make his job redundant by creating an organization which is self-run, and it will run independent of him. Otherwise, we're too used to CEOs coming in, launching their initiative, a new CEO come in, he comes with his own initiative. So once you create an organization which is self-run, which you, if you read my book, Employees First, Customer Second, you will understand that it is actually a self-run organization. The CEOs don't matter, and therefore handing over the control to somebody else who may be untested or tested really doesn't matter, because it is not one person who will determine the future of HCL. There are many employees who will determine the future of HCL, and that is the state we are in today. So it doesn't matter who's at the top.
Okay. Vineet, so what do you look for when interviewing people? If I somehow land up at your office with an interview letter, do you want me to tell you how hard I am going to work for you, the long hours and, so on, and the dedication, or do you want me to push your buttons and be challenging?
So if you have an opportunity of interviewing with me, which is not very often, but for critical positions I do interview, you're going to have my secrets out. But I try and provoke people. I try and search for passion. I do not want pedestrians working in our company. I want diamond cutters. I want potters to work in our company. When I say diamond cutter, a diamond cutter gets excited by rough diamond because he can envisage what he would convert the rough diamond to be. A potter looks at rough clay and saying that I love to create something out of rough clay and create a beautiful pot or whatever he creates. I like those people who believe in their skill and like to get their hands dirty to create something beautiful. I don't want people who just sit down and manage. Now, a diamond cutter and a potter has a point of view and has a very strong point of view. So I like people to join HCL who have a strong point of view. And therefore, I like them to push back on me because of their point of view, not just push back for the pushback's sake, because they stay rigid with their point of view. And a typical question which I ask, which is very interesting, which tells me everything, is saying that, you know what, I think you're not suitable for this job, but I have a very exciting job, which is an alternate job, and I think we will want to hire you for that. Would you be interested? And that's, if you say yes, you're out of my room, because you should be very clear as to what you want to do.
Vineet, you travel a lot. I wonder, what do you do in business or first class during long flights? Hit the bar, read, watch dozens of movies, or obsess about work?
No, not work. Definitely not work, because I truly believe that if you are not a 360-degree person, you have a unidimensional interest only in your work, you are very boring, nobody wants to talk to you, and your personality is, a negative energy because of concerns you have, not a positive energy which gives out a lot. For the last 18 months, I've been writing this book in seat 1A or 1K, whatever I get. So the book is thanks to Indian Airlines and British Airways and Lufthansa and Singapore Airlines. So thanks to them, and that's what I do. And then I read. I'm a big reader, and I read a lot of books which are very interesting. I don't read whole books, but I try and capture ideas within those books. That's what I do.
So the frequent flyer to the bookworm, I must ask you if you've read any good books lately, and don't say Employees First and Customers Second.
I don't know. I've not read Employees First, Customers Second because I wrote it. But yeah, that's a good book. I recommend that you should read it. I think the Starfish and the Spider, the Headless Organization, is a very, very interesting book for everybody. I suggest you must read. The concept is very, very strong, and I explained that I did explain that. I think Blink is pretty good. It talks about decision making and the way we aggregate over a couple of decisions. So I think there are some interesting books out there. The new book, Pull, is very interesting on its concept of what he's talking about. So I think there are Tarun Khanna's book on emerging markets is pretty good.
It's been a pleasure. Vineet Nayar of HCL Tech. Thanks.
That's right. Though I noticed that Vineet made a good sales pitch for his own book. That means that he's a good CEO. He knows how to sell his product.
But I like that. Employees first, customers second. I wish more CEOs had that.
Well, I'm sure customers will have a view on that, and his clients will too. But still ahead is something beyond the books.
That's right. Italy opening their World Cup campaign later tonight. More news from South Africa. A couple of seconds.